A good Erev Shabbos. Usually we have a shmooze, but I'm a descendant of the earliest Lubavitcher Rebbes, and this week was Yutes Kislev, and I figure we should have a farbrengen, sit down together. Unfortunately, no alcohol and no singing, but a little bit of a different type of shmooze for a different type of topic, in the hope of accomplishing that which a farbrengen is supposed to accomplish. And we'll get to that, Be'ez Hashem. This week's parsha is Parshas VaYeishev. I was telling my class that Parshas VaYeishev is perhaps the strangest parsha in the Torah. And it's the strangest parsha in the Torah because the characters in this week's parsha seem to be doing the most normal things. A little bit of an extreme way, but the most normal things. What's the most normal thing? Brothers seem to be fighting with each other. My father used to tell me that he never fought with his brother. So how can me and my brother fight? But first of all, I use the same line on my kids. Me and my brother, we never fought. I obliterated him. I mean, he's 6 years older than me, so maybe not. But me and my brother never fought. My father and his brother were 11 years apart. My father was hardly even home at the same time as his brother, so that was a little unfair. But you have brothers fighting in this week's parsha. Brothers fighting, and in fact, they say some nasty stuff. Right? Imagine you had a sibling that came home, and he heard amazing news. He won the lottery, or he just got hired. I have a Talmud right now. He's moving into a new job. He's so excited. Imagine he came home, and he was telling this over to his brother, and he getting I got this new job. It's a little bit of a pay cut right now, but it's a major, major step up. They're putting me in charge of something, and once it gets big, they promise me a huge raise. And what does the brother say to him? What, you think you're going to become the CEO or something? That's what you think's going to happen? You think you're going to make it big? You know how many of these businesses there are out there? That would be nasty. And here Yosef comes along with his dream. His dream. He has a dream. And in the dream, the stars. In the dream, the wheat. Okay. And he comes to his brothers. And these were very frum people. We're talking about the biggest people in history. The biggest people. The first generation of the Jewish people were without a Yishmael and without an Esav. These are the biggest people. Yaakov Avinu, when he had these kids, he knew the term that we use is mitasei shlema. He had a perfect family. And he comes and he tells them about his dreams. I had this dream that the whole world's going to be relying on me. And I'm going to be there to take care of everybody. And what do his brothers say? Hamashol timshol inu? Banu? Hamaloich timloich? You're going to be what, a king? You're going to be a ruler? Come on. That's how a brother talks to another guy. A brother, your little brother came home. You're so proud about what he had accomplished. Your little brother had a dream of what he hoped to be. And this is what they say to him. 10 big brothers, right? Imagine his birthdays, right? Let's say if you turn 17, birthday punches. It wasn't that type of family, And to just be mistreated that way. Now, we don't know how great they were. We literally cannot comprehend how great they are. I was learning a sefer last night. There are 2 words to describe a person acting in silence. You could have an elam. An elam is a mute. He's a person who cannot talk. He cannot talk. And there might be different reasons why a person cannot talk. He cannot talk because he suffers from mutism. Yeah, he's a mute. He might be deaf. He may never have learned to speak. You have another person, he's what we would say in gehakt tzuras. He has serious issues in his life. He doesn't have any strength to talk. Sometimes maybe you get so exhausted and somebody in your family or a friend really wants to have a conversation with you. I don't have the strength for it. That's an elam. An elam is a mute. Mute because he can't talk. And then there's charish, like it says in Megillas Esther, im hacharesh tacharishi, if you're going to be silent. That silence is not because you can't talk. It's because you have so much to say. You just don't have the words for it. You go to an event and you come back from it and they ask you, how was it? You can't even talk about it. It was so amazing. It was so amazing. You get to meet somebody you've always dreamed of meeting. You can't talk. You can't talk. When we're talking about the Shvatim, we're talking about, I don't have the words to describe how great they are. I couldn't even imagine, even starting to imagine how great their toenails are. I'm not even below their toenails. This is the type of great people we're talking about. But we need to take something for ourselves out of this parsha. We need to be able to apply something from this week's parsha. And when we're looking at the parsha, it's the parsha of bullying. That's what this week's parsha is. It's the parsha of brothers who use their position of power, their position based on their abilities, their numbers, and they lorded it over their younger brother. And of course, as I said, on their level, they were doing something we don't even understand. It was some great opportunity, and we're just trying to scratch the surface. But something that for us is that we can definitely see, it's the parsha of bullying. Bullying. Bullying is scary. This week's parsha, bullying is 22 years scary. Yosef's gone. He leaves from the age of 17. They don't see him until he's 39. It's a long time. I know of a family. I know them well. They don't live around here in New York. They live quite far away, in fact. And 39 years ago, they got into a fight. Two of the siblings, two boys in that family, they were really nasty to the other siblings. And the parents, I don't even know why, the parents took a side with the nasty siblings. And the three brothers and a sister did not speak to their parents or the two brothers. The other three brothers and a sister did not speak to that rest of the family for over 25 years. 25 years. After 25 years, in fact, I knew one of the kids in that family. They told me that they were in a neighborhood and they had seen pictures of their grandparents, who they'd never met, of course. They saw pictures of their grandparents, and so he knew what his grandfather looked like, but he was so afraid of what his grandfather stood for. He didn't know the details of it, but he knew that they had been bullied, and his grandfather sided with the bully. And he saw him once on a city bus. When the grandfather got on the city bus, and he was already an older man, this grandchild ran away to avoid the grandfather. He was so afraid of him. 25 years later, they finally met. They finally got together. And that grandfather knew his grandchildren for 1 year. He had 1 year with his grandchildren. The grandmother, okay, she lives near the grandchildren now, and they do have what to do with each other. It's not comfortable, but it started from teasing, bullying that just naturally spirals out of control. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. I know a guy named Yossi, and I've said this in my class this week. I know a guy named Yossi. I was in camp with him many, many years ago, decades ago. He was a little different, looked a little different. He had an interesting last name. It sounded like a Polish last name. And because of that, guys were making fun of that last name. And about 15 years ago, I found out that he killed himself. Another guy in my class, his name was Tzvi. He was a sweet kid, honestly, a sweet guy. I remember exactly, he was in my class in third grade. He was sitting along I still exactly remember my third grade Rabbi's class. He sat right when you came into the classroom on the left side. He was the third seat on the wall when you came in the classroom on the left side. Tzvi. My Rebbe's desk was right when you came in through the door, and the seats were like that, lines, and he was on the left. Tzvi. I always thought he was a sweet guy. And he was getting bullied. He was a heavyish kid. They used to bully him. Killed himself. I know another guy, Tully. Tully, he lived in the Five Towns. He went to Hafter. I remember that. Tully went to Hafter. He had an older brother who was a very cool guy, and he wasn't as cool. He had got on some heavy drugs, and then he got off of it. And then when he went to his father, he went with his father down to Florida. His father and he were in a room in a hotel. He jumped off a porch. His father tried to catch him, and he missed. Until he died. All because of bullying. We have no idea how dangerous we are. They say a guy who does karate, he's a black belt in karate. He's a concealed weapon. No. That guy has nothing on your mouth. The pasuk says, "Mavis v'chayim v'yad halashon." Life and death. Death and life, in fact. Mavis v'chayim. Mavis v'chayim, mavis. Mavis v'chayim v'yad halashon. Is it chayim mavis? Mavis v'chayim, what am I? Mavis v'chayim, no? V'yad halashon. It's in the hand of the tongue. Death and life. Interesting. I'm just thinking now. I hope it's mavis v'chayim. It's interesting. It's interesting that death comes first in this case. Death and life is in the hands of your tongue. Because it's more likely that your tongue will bring death than it will bring life. It's so dangerous, the things that a person can say. I'll tell you something personal about myself. When I was in third grade, I switched yeshivas after third grade. I went to a certain yeshiva. After third grade, I switched to a different yeshiva. I used to tell everybody why did I switch yeshivas, because the yeshiva that I went to is much more academic, and it was. I don't really know why I switched yeshivas, honestly. But if I could assume, I would say it was because I was being bullied. In third grade, a whole bunch of kids, a new kid who came in first grade, and I still remember that kid, and I have never seen him since third grade. And I know that if he was walking in front of my car today, I would have to make sure that I didn't run him over. But the nasty way that he was, really nasty. He took all of my friends and he ruined my relationships. He split our whole class into two. I had friends, sure. But this kid went out of his way to take all of the guys I was friends with, half of them, and really bully me. And you know what? He's like a little tiny pipsqueak of a kid. And still, he spent every nasty waking moment of coming to that yeshiva from first grade through third grade, ooh. So I had to switch yeshivas. I was the only kid from Flatbush going to the yeshiva in Far Rockaway. The only kid. I switched yeshivas, I didn't know a single kid that was there. I went there, my mother used to drive me, my mother used to drive me from Flatbush to Far Rockaway. It must have been almost the entire first year, fourth grade, almost the entire year, just to be able to help me get there. By the time I was in fifth grade, there was already one other person going to the yeshiva in Far Rockaway, so we had a carpool. Sixth grade, okay, we had 4 guys. By seventh grade, we had a van. But it all comes down to bullying. The pain that bullying causes, the death that bullying causes. Maves v'chayim b'yad halashon. Death and life are in the hands of the mouth. Hands of the mouth? Yes, your mouth is a weapon. And the way that you talk, and the things that you write, and you think it's just a throwaway comment. And I'm walking out of yeshiva, and I might as well just say something nasty to somebody. It doesn't mean anything. He doesn't take it to mean anything. You're wrong. It sticks in there for a very, very long time. I know people till this day, 75, 80-year-old people who are still hurting from what they heard from somebody in first grade. And it's not because they're insecure. It's because it hurts, it's dangerous. If somebody chopped your arm off, it doesn't grow back. And sometimes you get hurt in a way it doesn't come back. It doesn't come back. I know a person in first grade. In first grade, the whole class decided to make believe this person didn't exist. That's what they did to this person. And it was the person's birthday. On this person's birthday, that's what they did. They all made believe the person didn't exist. Hi, how are you? Zero, no response. I find, and I think many people will agree, many people, I'm talking about my dear friends here in this room, you fellows, I think you'll find that bullying has gotten a lot worse recently. I'm not saying recently in the last hour, or even the last year. I think there's something sick going on in our culture that causes so much bullying. I said it in class, I feel like there's only two types of humor left in the world. Humor that puts people down, put down humor, or off-color, racist, immoral humor. Off-color humor or put-down humor. Good old jokes. And by the way, put-down humor, it comes along with a certain type of laugh. It's a laugh at sound instead of a laugh with sound. That's what I find. Put-down humor, everyone's laughing at someone, pointing at that someone. Even if you don't point with your fingers, there's something there. It hurts. Used to be, I decided to see what the old humor was like. I never listened to comedy, so I don't know. But I listened to a shir of a certain fellow, Rabbi David Orlovsky. He is always talking about a certain comedian, Tom Lehrer. I have no idea what the guy is. Tom Lehrer. I did some research about that. I don't know. But I decided this morning on the way in, I'm curious to hear the type of humor that he has. And you know what? None of it was put-down humor, and none of it was off-color humor. And it was very funny. He was making fun of himself, actually. He was making fun of himself. He worked as a mathematician, and then he became a comedian. He was talking about, how if he really doesn't need this job, because he can always work as a math teacher and make $3,000 a year. He doesn't need to be an advanced level comedian. He spoke about pollution. It was hilarious. He spoke about how you would never drink from the kitchen sink. Right? You'd never drink from the kitchen sink. But yet, when you brush your teeth with toothpaste that you spent $1,000 on that toothbrush and $20 on that fancy toothpaste, you rinse your mouth out with dirty water that's coming out of the sink. Cute point. And he's funny and he's making songs. And there was no put-down humor to it. Something sick in our culture. I'm sure nobody here, Chas v'Shalom, watches television or movies or anything like that. But if you do watch it, try to categorize. If somebody else watches, you can ask them. Try to categorize the types of jokes they're making. Do they ever move out of put-down humor or immoral humor? Are there other types of jokes? And maybe if you want to do a little checking on yourself, you'll also analyze whether you laugh when they don't do those two types of humor. Whether you find it funny when it's not one of those two types. Or are you only triggered to laugh when it's put-down humor or immoral humor? Again, I'm asking a cultural question. It's scary to me. Because I believe deep down is that I know where it comes from, and the place where it comes from scares me a lot. And I only have a few more minutes to say it, and I'll just try to get it out. And you can take my hypothesis or not. I think it comes down to a place that nobody cares about anybody. And I think that's what it really is. I think you have a lot of nice people out there. And a lot of people say good morning and good night. But I could drop dead and nobody would care. Somebody can have a terrible pain in the family. and you won't care. Somebody needs something, somebody's having a hard day, nobody cares. If it doesn't give me something to laugh at, it ain't worth my time in caring. There are a lot of people who have a lot of struggles. A lot of people in this room have a lot of struggles. And I'm one of them. Everyone in this room has something to struggle about. Everyone in this room has a lot of challenges. And you know what? Some days and I speak for all of us, I am better at what I'm trying to accomplish, and some days I'm worse. Some days I'm doing well. Some days I'm not. And on that day when I'm not, you come at me and you call me something, or you snap at me in davening, or you chase me, or you yell at me, or you laugh at me. And when I was trying to share something with you, or I was trying to discuss something with a teacher, that was my day that you got me, and you cut off my arm. And that arm doesn't come back. You don't know what you've done to me. I have a friend. He's my worst friend. I love him dearly. But he's the worst person to have as a friend. His name is Tzvi Gluck. Tzvi Gluck. He runs an organization called Amudim. If you heard of it, you heard it. You haven't, you haven't. Rabbi Edelman, you heard of Amudim? Of course you have. He keeps a running tally of all the people who killed themselves this year. Trust me. The amount of people on that list that kill themselves because they actually have some sort of psychological disorder is 0.001%. He talks about the Frum Yidden that killed themselves this year. All the Frum Yidden that their families had to say, he had an aneurysm. That's why he died. Or he died because he got really sick in the hospital, or he got into a car accident. And that didn't happen. And the people on this list, almost every single one on that list, is because somebody is bullying them. And they've got nothing left. Because it was so important for them to have that. Can't you be a person that looks at your friends and I am the one that's here for you? I'm willing to let you finish the conversation. I'm willing to hear every word that you want to say. For your sake, I want to hear what you have to say. I am not rushing out because you need me. Can't you be that guy? I'll say an unbelievably beautiful Dvar Torah, and I'll finish with this. I could speak about this for 5 years straight. 5 years straight. These guys know it's true. I could speak about a lot of things for a long time. But this topic, 5 years straight. Yosef HaTzadik is being challenged by the wife of Potiphar. He goes into her house, and he's about to act with her. He's about to do exactly what she had been asking for him. She pushed and pushed enough, and Yosef's ready to act totally immorally with this goyish, disgusting, horrible human being. He's ready. And at the last moment, he saw, there's 2 versions of it, he saw Demus Diuknoi Shel Aviv. What we usually translate, he saw an image of his father. He saw an image of his father. And everybody says, okay, he saw an image of his father because the education, the chinuch of his parents, at that moment when he needed it most, it triggered into his mind, and he stopped himself, and he ran out of the house. There's a pshat from Rav Eli Lopian, which is, knock your socks off, and it's a demand on every single person in this room. Every single person sitting here. This pshat is for you. And go say it by your Shabbos table, and then when the door closes and you're sitting by yourself, go say it to yourself. The words demus diuknai means this. Demus means the image. Diuknai means of his impression. Demus diuknai shel aviv, of his father. Demus diuknai shel aviv. then it should say, Demusa shel aviv. He saw his father. No, you know what he saw? Rav Elopian says this. Rav Elopian says, you know what he saw? He saw his father's image of him. He saw Yaakov's vision for what Yosef could be. And at that moment, he knew that people around me have high expectations of me. They know how great I can be because they talk about it all the time. They're impressed with me. And therefore, when I'm challenged, when I get to a tough spot, I know that I can't let people down because I really do have what it takes. And therefore, Yosef ran out because he says, I'm better than that. But you know when that doesn't happen? It doesn't happen when everybody's putting me down. If you're putting me down all the time, I will fail every test. I will never amount to anything. And when the day comes that I'm tully on that porch, chas v'shalom, he's not going to catch me. I am not exaggerating the slightest. When you're bullying someone, you don't know what's going to happen. You're shooting a gun wildly, someone's going to die. And if you do that here, you're killing all of us. And we're not willing to risk that. We are not willing to risk the danger of a person who's bullying all of us. Go somewhere else. Somewhere where they don't have people. Because you're too dangerous. You're a nuclear bomb. And I'm not willing to risk that I'm going to survive that bomb. That's what we learned from this week's Parsha. Parshas VaYeishev should stick in your head for the rest of your life. Stick in your head that says, I am a walking no bully zone. That's what I am. I'll never let it happen. I'll never let me be the cause, and I'll never let anybody else be the cause. I am here for the people around me because when they're going to be challenged in that moment, I want to be the reason that they succeed. And I don't want anything else to happen. You have a Shabbos table with people. There are people around that table with you. You never know who needs the help right now. It might be your little brother. It might be your grandmother. It might be anyone in that room. It might be the people you see in shul. It might be the rabbi himself who's regretting his job. He might be standing in the front of the shul thinking, I give a drasha every week and nobody ever says thank you. I don't know. I can assure you there's somebody. And I want to say, I'm working on this year. This Hanukkah is 8 days of Hanukkah. I'm going to go. Day 1 of Hanukkah, I'm going to find one person that I can go over to and I'm going to try to make that person's day. Day 2 of Hanukkah, I'm going to try 2. 3 of Hanukkah, 3. I'm going to get to the 8th day of Hanukkah. I'm going to try to find 8 people that I could do that for. Whether it means calling somebody who I know, who I don't even know might need it. I'm calling somebody at random that I can help. Or visit somebody in a hospital. Or do something. That's going to be my Hanukkah. And I'm going to light a candle every single day. I light a candle of building people up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'd love if you join me. I'd love it. I love everybody in this room. I love you all. The rabbis, the Talmidim, the rabbis. You're incredible people. You're in this yeshiva. You're incredible people. You have so much to offer. You are the Hatzalah men of our generation. My father was a Hatzalah guy. Great. You are saving lives, not just for one day, for every day. Go out and save some lives. Be'ez Hashem. You should have a beautiful Shabbos, you should have beautiful Zmiras, you should have delicious cholent, you should have a positive atmosphere. Hashem should give you Kol Mishas Liv Kol Taiva.